These are the 12 insights that took me from a broke musician to an MIT grad. I've been the CEO and C-level executive at companies that made over $60 billion in 5 exits. So let's launch into it. My first insight is this: if you want to create a founder's mindset, then you need to stop worrying about your mission statement. A successful business is born from solving real problems. None of the businesses that we admire today started with a grand mission to change the world. They started in a garage or a dorm room. How did Microsoft start? Just 2 guys writing software for a computer company that doesn't even exist today. And what about Facebook? Zuckerberg's first crack at greatness was called Face Mash. He made a site so people could rate if women were hot or not. There was no grand mission about connecting the world, no mission statement. And what about Theranos or FTX? These companies had inspiring missions, and the founders are in prison right now. So solve a problem, nail a product, and the mission will follow. My second insight is to chase problems, not your passion. Passion is just a hype. You can't build a business on it. Airbnb wasn't started because we all love sharing our homes. It was started by 2 broke founders who couldn't afford a hotel room. Back in the early 2000s, I was a director at a tech company, and the CEO and the CTO, both brilliant people, had a huge passion to build a search engine. And the company at one point was the fastest growing search engine on the internet. But then came Google, and it started eating everybody's lunch. And so we had to pivot hard. So we sold our search engine business to Yahoo and then built an information retrieval software for large corporations. So from B2C, we went to B2B. Eventually, Microsoft bought us for $1.2 billion, so it was a good exit. But the point is that we completely changed our business model, our business focus. And your business will change completely very frequently. Think of Google. They started from search to advertising and now AI. Passions don't last, but problems do. Next up is number 3. Success is all about subtraction. Southwest built a giant business on the subtraction model. That's right. Southwest subtracted fancy meals, reserved seats, bigger airports, and built a huge business. Same for Apple. But Apple was just weeks away from bankruptcy. What did Steve Jobs do? He cut almost all the product lines and focused on just core products like iMac, because he knew that big wins come from doing fewer things better. So if you want to succeed, say no a lot. Subtraction also clarifies a founder's mindset. Running a business is overwhelming enough, right? There's always a fire that's burning, a deal you have to close, an angry customer you have to call, a new hire to interview. And so if you're an entrepreneur or an executive, the most important subtraction is internal. Focus only on the essential and subtract all the rest of the noise. That's what preserves your sanity. That brings us to insight number 4. You need to follow evidence, not your ego. Confidence looks sexy, but that's not a strategy. Google, Nvidia, Amazon are successful because they innovate daily by doing thousands of experiments. I was a C-level exec at a tech company, amazing technology. And we had been selling software with a certain pricing model. And the board wanted another pricing model called SaaS. It's a subscription-based pricing model. And so all of us were stuck. Should we do this pricing versus that pricing? So we just started doing experiments. We picked a bunch of pricing models. With different customer cohorts, we did a lot of A/B testing, and we collected a lot of data. And what we found completely surprised us. Because what was working was a third model, a third option we hadn't thought about, a volume-based pricing model. And the customers loved it, and the growth just took off. You know, as we become more successful, we start believing in our own BS. Don't rely on your intuition alone. Let your data show you what's working. And no matter what you do, stop guessing, because your opinions aren't gonna change the facts. Insight number 5, everybody hurts. That means you have to sell promises, shortcuts, solutions. Customers don't buy products, they buy better versions of themselves. It's about an emotional connection. Nike is successful because they know how to sell the dream. That's a great example. You know, in the 80s, Nike wasn't a big deal. No one cared about them. Adidas was the company that defined cool. So How did Nike beat them? Not by producing better shoes, but by selling a dream, selling a feeling. That's what Air Jordans were about, right? Everybody wanted to feel like a champion. They wanted to be a part of something bigger than themselves. That's the emotion connection. That's why Ziploc is not a plastic bag. It makes us feel good that we're reducing waste. Apple is not about a piece of glass. It makes us feel sexy. Like we have great taste. Like we have arrived. So sell a promise, not a product. My sixth insight is that everybody lies. Don't just listen to your customers, watch what they're doing. Henry Ford said, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. Customers say one thing and do another. I remember when I was a CEO of an awesome AI company, we sold a powerful AI fraud detection software. And every time our sales rep would go and talk to a prospect, they would all come back fully pumped. Because the prospects loved us. They would talk endlessly about how they wanted to fight fraud and how bots were the existential threat to the internet and on and on. But when it came time to buy, nothing. So instead of listening to our customers praising us, we started watching how and where they were using our product. And that changed our go-to-market strategy completely. We started targeting a different set of customers, a different type of customers who had a higher sense of urgency. And that led to explosive growth. So learn from how your customers behave. What they do speaks louder than what they say. The next insight is that if you want to build a great business, nail the founder market fit. The best founders don't just know their market, they are their market. Melanie Perkins didn't just wake up one day and start Canva. She used to work as a design instructor, and she knew how people struggle with creative designs. She knew their pain. The solution to that pain became Canva. And that's why people love Canva. They think it's so intuitive because it came from a very strong founder market fit. So if you want to start a business, find a fit between who you are and your market. Customers will trust you more because you walked in their shoes. My next insight is this: without product market fit, you have no business. If you just started your business, here are 3 things I would do. Be extremely scrappy, watch your cash burn, and find your product market fit. A great example is a company that you've never heard of. It was called Bourbon. They launched in early 2010s as a check-in app. So, users could share their location with their friends. But the founders saw something unusual. The users were using that app mostly to share photos. So in 2 months, they rebuilt the entire product, focused solely on photo sharing, and renamed the company Instagram. The rest, as you know, is history. Product market fit helps you prove if your customers actually want your product and what they love about it. Also learn about a bunch of metrics like activation rate, retention rate, customer churn rate. They will help you figure out how to get to a solid PMF. The next insight is that pricing is not just about driving revenue. It's about finding what the customer will pay for your product. Don't give away things for free. Free isn't a business model, it's just a hobby. Freemium products used to be fashionable once, but a lot of startups eventually found out, painfully of course, that when they started charging, their 90% retention rate plummeted to 10%. Well, guess what? They never had a strong market fit in the first place. So test your customers' willingness to pay very early on. Do as many pricing experiments as you can, right? Find the right price point where you can make enough money, but your customers feel like they won. If your customers are willing to pay for it, then you know your product and services are delivering value. That brings us to our number 10. Who you hire in your team decides if you win or lose. I only care about this one thing when I am hiring: finding people who can adapt to change. I don't remember being in a company that did not change its direction. Every single company that I was at ended up doing something different in 18 months after I joined. The product changed, the market reality changed, the leadership changed, the investors changed. Of course, my role would change, and you gotta roll with the punches and adapt. No one knows what any business will look like in 3 years. No one. So you need to find people who can adapt and pivot with you. And these are the people you need to take care of. Think about their financial and emotional well-being. Pay them top dollars, give them equity, make them owners, show them that they have a future with you. And that brings us to number 11, which is not very sexy, but it is essential. You need processes. Let's talk about communications process first. So as a CEO, I remember doing a stand-up meeting with all my C-level reports every day, just for 10 minutes. And on top of that, I would do one-on-ones with each executive every week. And we had an executive meeting with all of them together for 2 hours every Monday. And we had an all hands where the entire company would come together and we would talk about what's going on, why that matters. So too many meetings? Not at all. Companies today run at a crazy pace. And as a leader, as a CEO, as a founder, it's your job to over-communicate. That way, anyone can make a decision when you're not in the room. The second process is goal setting. And one book I would recommend is Measure What Matters by John Doerr. Don't reinvent the wheel at all when it comes to goal setting. Just use OKRs. OKR stands for Objectives and Key Results. Every company I know uses them. So create maybe 3 or 4 OKRs per quarter and then cascade them down to the function, to the team, to an individual. That way everybody is rowing in the same direction and the ship moves faster. Insight number 12 is that all your business fundamentals come down to just one thing: cash. You need to understand this about money. A very sophisticated CEO I once knew called me when I was in San Francisco in a cab. And he said, "Sandeep, I'm gonna resign." And my jaw dropped. I'm like, what happened? What's going on? And he said some Silicon Valley bank had swept $10 million from the company's bank account because of some breach in loan covenants. What he meant was that $10 million just disappeared overnight because his chief financial officer didn't keep track of the cash account. Now, they did bridge financing, they survived, but they never fully recovered. And the unfortunate thing here was that nothing was illegal there. There was no embezzlement, no one was cooking the books, just lack of process, lack of oversight. So remember, revenue is not cash. Operating margin is not cash. Profit is not cash. Only cash is real. The rest is accounting. It is the vital oxygen for your business. Keep track of your oxygen. And here's my one bonus insight. It's controversial, and I learned it way later in my life, but it's an important one. Lead with love. Take care of your people, your product, and your profits in that order. Your job is not to be the boss, but to be a coach. Not just to lead, but to serve. Help your team become fearless, and they will surprise you. I've seen this firsthand. Because when you take care of your people take care of your customers, and your customers take care of your competition. That's how you win. If you thought this content was valuable, subscribe to my channel for more content like this. I'll be posting every week.